Christina. Today I'm going to show you how to make this cute little dangle necklace. This is made with the Shiny New Year treasure bag that I sell on my website. There are still a few treasure bags left, not very many, but if you want one you can snag one. There is an unboxing video that you can look at if you want to see what's in it. But this is what we're going to make with this today. This is an 18-inch necklace, so you can adjust the length that you want to make with this extension area back here. Now, I created a kind of a modified herringbone for this back portion because that way, the way that I've created it, it can twist and turn in the back and it's fine. It doesn't matter. There's not a front or a back. It doesn't have to lay one way or the other. It can twist and turn and it's fine. And yet this front stays laying properly the way it should on your neck. This portion does not twist and turn. This portion can, however, and it doesn't matter because of the way the little chain looks that I've created. So I just made my own little chain so it matches in with the rest of it, and it turns out really cute. So like I said, this is a treasure bag tutorial, Shiny New Year treasure bag. If you do not have a treasure bag, don't fret. These are very basic beads. We're just using some teardrops. You could use any kind of dangle you wanted. It doesn't necessarily have to be a teardrop. It can be a round, it can be an oval, it can be whatever you want. You'll just do the same process, go through the bead and do a fringe with it. So a fringing stitch is when you go around a smaller bead and then back up into the bead. So, and I show you how to do that. So you can use any beads you would like. These are very common beads. We're using seed beads, 4mm rounds, 6mm rounds, and you can use anything you want for your drop. So you can do this tutorial if you would like. So let's go ahead and look and see what it takes to make this particular project. Okay, for this project, we will be using out of the Shiny New Year treasure bag, the 4mm round gray crystals, and we'll use about 27 of them, I believe. And then we're going to use the 6mm round black glass beads, and we're going to use 8 of them. Then we're going to use some of the drops in the black electroplated drops. We are going to use 8 of those. Now, this all varies, of course. If you're going to change the length of your necklace, then you'll need a little bit more than what I'm showing you. But generally, this is what you're going to need. And a clasp from the treasure box. So those are from the treasure box. Adding to the treasure box, we're going to have 8/0 and 11/0 in 2 colors. So 2 8/0s, 2 11/0s. So you can do this in one color if you would like. It doesn't matter. I just decided that I wanted to use 2 colors. So I have 8/0 and 11/0s in jet, and they are Toho. And then I have 8/0s and 11/0s in galvanized permanent finish aluminum Tohos. Then because I'm using dark beads, I'm going to use fireline and I'm going to use 8 pound. Now, you can use 6 pound. I'm just using 8 pound because it's the only weight I have in the smoke color. And you want to use the smoke color thread if you're going to use the same color scheming I am. Of course, if you don't have the treasure bag and you're using whatever color scheming you have on hand, then of course you don't have to do that. But without the dark fireline, this could be a little thready, this project. So the thread would show, especially against the dark bead. So I'm going to use 8 pound fireline in smoke. And I'm going to use a size 12. You can also use a size 10 beading needle. That would work fine. You want to thread onto your beading needle. To start with, a full wingspan. You are going to need to extend your fireline or your nanofill if you happen to be using that during this project probably a couple of times. So if you do not know how to extend your thread or tie on, I will post a link to a video that will teach you how to do that. But a wingspan to start with is when you stretch your arms out from side to side like you're going to fly away. You measure from your fingertips of the first arm, the length of that arm across your chest, the length of the second arm, and to your fingertips on that arm. That's a wingspan. And go ahead and thread that onto your needle and we will get started. Okay, to start this project, we're going to pick up 4 8/0 seed beads onto our needle, and we're going to bring them to the end of the thread. You don't have to leave a long tail, but you need enough to hold on to so that it doesn't slip through as you do your first stitch. We're going to attach the clasping first. So we've got 4 beads here. We're going to go back through the first 2 on the thread, the 2 next to the tail. So just go right up through those 2, hold on to those 2, and hold on to your tail, and then pull the thread until the other 2 beads lay on top of the first 2, just like this. And then we're just going to sew back through this to secure it. So I'm coming out of this set, I'm going to go into this set now. And I'm going to pull this down. And then I'm going to go back up through the first set. So I'm coming out of this set here. I'm going to go back up through this set. Well, come here. There we go. Just like that. I'm going to hold my tail out of the way and just pull my needle through. Just like that. Now we're going to sew through it one more time just to straighten it up and secure it a little bit more. So I'm coming out of this set, I'm going to go back into this set, and then back up into this set on this side. Come here, you. Right there. And now we're going to put our clasping on. So we're going to pick up an 11/0 and an 8/0 onto our needle. I'm using a black 11/0 and a silver 8/0. And then I'm going to drop these down to my piece. And then I'm going to go through the loop on my clasp and bring it down. Then I'm going to go back through just the 8/0 seed bead right here. Let me get you in a little closer. So I'm going through this 8/0. I'm going to put my thumb and finger together, and I'm just going to pull my thread through and guide it down. Just like this. Now I'm going to pick up an 11/0, and I'm going to go through both the beads on this side right here. And pull this down. This is what you should have. Now we're going to sew through this again. So we're going to go up through these 2 8/0s and the 11/0 if we can, just like this. Keep that tail out of the way. Then we're going to go up through this 8/0 here and the clasp, just like this. We go around the loop of the clasp, back into the 8/0, and then into all 3 beads on this side. Let's do that one more time off camera just to make sure that our clasping is nice and secure, and we'll be back. Sew through it exactly like I just did. Okay, so I've sewn through again and secured my clasping. I'm just going to cut this tail off and leave a little bit of a tag for the moment, and that way it's not in my way. We're going to start a little modified herringbone stitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up 2 11/0 seed beads. We're going to come through just the first 8/0. So we're coming out of this side, we're picking up 2 11/0s, and we're going through this 8/0 right here. And if you need to go through both on this side, that's fine too, but mine are split a little so I can get access to it. Now I'm coming out of this 8/0. I'm going to cross over to this 8/0 and go down through it. So I'm just going to turn my piece, and I'm going to go down through this 8/0 on this side and up through the 11/0 on top of the 8/0, just like this, and pull. Now we're just going to pick up an 8/0 seed bead. So I'm going to use silver 8/0s and black 11/0s for this portion of the necklace. So I'm picking up 1 8/0. I'm going to go into the 11/0 here, just cross straight over. I'm coming out of this one, I'm going to go into this one, and I'm going to pull my needle through and pop that 8-0 right down in the center. It should lay on its side right down in the center of these two 8-0s, or 11-0s, excuse me. And then I'm going to cross over. It's a little bit loose right now. I'm going to cross over, go back into the 11-0 I started in. So I'm coming out of this one. I'm going to go into the one next to it, pull this down, and then go through the 8-0. Hold on to it, and this way I can give it a little tug and straighten it out. And that's what that should look like. Now we're going to repeat the process. We're going to pick up two 11-0 seed beads onto our needle. We're coming out of this side of the 8-0. We're going to go into the opposite side of the 8-0. And I'm just going to hold on to it with my thumb and fingers, pull these down, and then I'm going to go back up into the 11-0s. So I'm coming out of this 8-0. I'm going to go right into one of these 11-0s. I'm going to pull my needle through and give a little tug so that they lay out like this. This is why you want black thread. And as I get going, you'll see it'll look a lot neater. It'll come together a little. Then we're going to pick up an 8-0 seed bead, and we're coming out of this 11-0. We're going to go into this 11-0, pull this 8-0 down, go into the 8-0 in the previous stitch right here, pull the thread through. Then I'm going to go up into the 11-0 here. So I'm coming out of the 8-0, go up into the 11-0, and then back into my 8-0. This is just a modified herringbone, basically. It makes, if I wanted to, I could get the same type of stitch from a right angle weave. However, it wouldn't be quite as sturdy, and this makes a really nice effect for this particular design. So we're going to pick up two 11-0s. We're coming out of the 8-0. We're going to go into the opposite side of the 8-0. Hold on to our piece, pull these down, and go up into the 11-0. Right next to where you're coming out of the 8-0. If it pulls like mine just did, don't worry. You can straighten it out as you get it down like this. And then pick up an 8-0. Go into the 11-0 next to the one you're coming out of. Go down into it. Like this. Hold on to it. Pull your 8-0 down. Give a little tug. Then go into the 8-0 in the previous stitch. Give a little tug. Go up into the 11-0 on this side. And then into the 8-0 seed bead. Let's do one more, and then we'll make this to the length we need, and we'll discuss that in a second. So let's pick up two 11-0s, go into the opposite side of the 8-0 you're coming out of. Hold on to it, pull these down, and then go up into the 11-0 next to where you're coming out of the 8-0, the one right above it on the same side. And then pick up an 8-0. Go down into the 11-0 next to the one you're coming out of. Hold on to it, pull that 8-0 down into place. Now sometimes they twist, so just untwist it and go into the 8-0 in the previous stitch. I'm going to turn this and go into this 11-0 here, and then go into the 8-0. We're going to continue doing this little modified herringbone until we have 25 of these silver 8-0s. So we're going to count the stitches as 1, 2, 3, 4. When you get to the 25th silver 8-0, we'll be back and we will transition into the front portion of the necklace. So go ahead and continue this stitch. Okay, so I have made my 25 units. I'm not counting the 8-0s in the clasping, just the 8-0s between the 11-0s. And I am coming out of my 25th 8-0 right here. You can see this makes a pretty cute little chain. You can see it's not absolute, they don't stay absolutely perfect, but they're just cute and it's flexible. So it can turn on the neck a little bit and it's going to be okay. A regular herringbone, when it flips, it's not as nice. You want it to lay straight. So this can flip a little and it doesn't matter. That's why I decided to do it this way. That, and it's really nice and strong, firm stitch. So I'm coming out of the 8-0 right here. And this time I'm going to do another stitch of the modified herringbone, but I'm going to add an 8-0 in black. So I'm going to pick up my two 11-0s and I'm going to go into the opposite side of the 8-0 I'm coming out of, my 25th 8-0, and then I'm going to come up into the 11-0 just like we've been doing. Then I'm going to pick up a black 8-0 and do the same thing, go into the 11-0 next to the one I'm coming out of. Get you in a little bit here, right here, and then we're just going to pull this down and sew through the 8-0 in the previous stitch just like we've been doing, and then sew back up into the 8-0. Now we're going to start a modified right angle weave. So we're going to call this the top of the necklace. Let me back off so you can see. I'm going to call this where I'm coming out the top of the necklace, and this of course will be the bottom. And that will make a difference in the next stitch we're going to do. So since we're coming out towards the top, we're going to start with two 11-0 seed beads, and then we are going to pick up a black 8-0, and then we're going to pick up one of our 4mm round crystals. And that is going to be what is in each stitch. So we're going to connect to this 8-0 right here. We're going to go into the opposite side from which we're coming out. This is my combination. I go up through the opposite side of the 8-0 I'm coming out of, and I've got this little modified right angle weave. Instead of having just 4 beads in it, I have 5 because I'm using two 11-0s as one section. Now I'm going to sew through this unit again. So I'm just going to turn this a little bit and go up through my two 11-0s, down into my black 8-0 here, into my crystal, and then up into the 8-0 we connected to, and that's secure. Now I have to sew over to this 8-0 so I can make another unit. So I'm going to just come into these two 11-0s on top, and then down through this 8-0. Now we need to make another unit. We'll make 3 units just like this. This can be confusing because you're not sure what beads to pick up next when you have different beads in a single unit. So what you're going to do is you're going to look at which way your thread is coming out, and then you'll know which bead to pick up first. Since the thread is coming out towards the bottom and we have a crystal on the bottom, we will pick up a crystal first. Then you can look at your previous unit and you can see after the crystal is an 8-0. So we pick up a black 8-0. And then after that 8-0 is two 11-0s. And then we know we're going to connect into an 8-0 already on the unit, so we don't have to pick up that. This is what we're going to pick up. So we're going to go into the opposite side of the 8-0 from which we're coming out of. And we're going to pull this down. And we have another unit. We're going to secure this unit. So go through the crystal, into the 8-0, into the two 11-0s here, down into the 8-0, and now we're secure. We're going to go into this bead over here to start our next unit. I'm going to extend my fireline and we'll continue. Okay, so I have extended and sewn back through my previous unit to hide my little extension, and I'm coming out of the 8-0 seed bead just like we would be as if we just made this first unit or the second unit, And we're coming out now towards the top of the necklace. So you can see I'm coming out of the top of my 8/0 seed bead. I need to first pick up my 11/0 seed beads. So I'll pick up 2 11/0s, and then I'll pick up an 8/0 and a crystal, perhaps. Let's see. Come here. And then an 8/0 and a crystal. So the direction you're coming out of your 8/0 will determine the series of beads you're going to pick up. I'm coming out of the top. I know that I need 2 11/0s. I know I then need an 8/0, and I know I then need a crystal, and I will attach to this 8/0. So this is what I have, and I'm going to go up through the opposite side of the 8/0 I'm coming out of. Let me back off just a little bit, and I'm going to pull this down, and I have my 3rd unit. I'm now going to sew back through this unit to secure it. So I'm going to go through the 2 8/0s, and then, or the 2 11/0s, excuse me, and then through an 8/0 here, through the crystal, back through the connecting 8/0, and I am now secure. So now I need to work over to this bead so that I may do my next unit, which is a little different than these. So we'll do 3 units just like the ones I've shown you, and then we are going to switch to one of these 6 millimeter round beads. So it's the same unit, it's just going to be a little bit different count of beads. So we're coming out towards the bottom of the necklace. The bigger beads, the 4 millimeter rounds and the 6 millimeter rounds, will always be towards the bottom. So we know we need to pick up a 6 millimeter round first. And then I'm going to pick up a 8/0 black seed bead. And then I'm going to pick up 5 of my 11/0s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is what you will have now. You'll have a 6 millimeter round, an 8/0 in black, and then the 5 silver 11/0s. I'm going to drop this down and I'm going to come over and go into the opposite side of the bead I'm attaching to. So that means I come from to this side here, just like that. And I pull this down, and these seed beads will wrap over the top of the 6 millimeter round, just like this. I'm going to secure this now. I'm going to go through, I'm coming out of the 8/0, I'm going to go through the 6 millimeter round. If it loosens up, don't worry. As you do this, it'll tighten back up. Then we're going to go into all of these beads on top. So here I've got an 8/0 and an 11/0, and I'm just going to go through, give a little tug, and then I'm going to go through the rest of my 11/0s right here, pull through, and then I am going to, oh, I have lotion on my hands. Oh no. Then I'm going to go down through the 8/0 here. And then now that I've gone down through this 8/0 seed bead, I need to get back over to this one. So I'm secure completely. I'm going to go through the 6 millimeter round, and then I'm going to go through the 8/0 here. And this is what you should have. Now we're going to go back into doing these units. So we'll do 3 of these units, 1 of these, and then we'll go back into 3 of these. So we're coming out towards the top of this 8/0 seed bead. We're coming out towards the top of our piece. So we're going to start with 2 11/0s. And then we'll pick up a black 8/0, and then we'll pick up a 4 millimeter round crystal, like this. And then we're going to go into the opposite side of the bead we're coming out of. So we're coming out of the top, we're going to go into the bottom here. And just pull this down, just like this. Now we're going to sew back through this unit. So I'll go through the 2 11/0s, excuse me, and then down through the 8/0. then into the crystal, and then into the 8/0 here, and then we are secure. So now we need to sew all the way over to this bead to start our next unit. So I'll go through these two 11/0s, down into this 8/0, and begin my next unit like this one, because I need to make 3 of them. So I'm coming out of the bottom of the bead towards the bottom of the necklace. So I'm going to pick up my crystal first, and then I will pick up an 8/0, and then I'll pick up the two 11/0s for the top of the unit and attach to this 8/0 for the side of the unit. So crystal, 8/0, two 11/0s. Go into the opposite side from which your thread is coming out. Coming out here, I'm going to go into the top of the bead here and pull. And now I can reinforce this by sewing through the entire unit. I'll go into the crystal, hold on to my piece, and the 8/0, the two 11/0s on top, the connecting 8/0, and now I'm secure. And I will sew over to the next 8/0 seed bead. So I have to go through my crystal and up through the 8/0. I need to move my iPad. It's making way too much noise. Okay, now we're going to pick up 2. We're coming out towards the top of the necklace. So we need to pick up 2 of the 11/0s, because you can see you're coming out this way. That's where the 11/0s are. Pick up 2 11/0s, then you need an 8/0, and then you need a crystal. Get some crystals over here. Just like this. And go through the opposite side. And then we're going to sew through the unit again. Okay, so I picked up an 8/0. I picked up 2 8/0s. Let me fix this. Okay, so we're coming out of the top of the bead. I'm just going to redo this unit. I took off those beads that I picked up. I know I need to pick up 2 11/0s, an 8/0, and a crystal. Just like this. Drop this down and go through the 8/0. Sew through it. Sew through the 8/0, the crystal, the connecting 8/0, and then back over to the 8/0 to start our next unit. So I'll go through these 2 11/0s, and into the 8/0. Now we're going to do, we've done 3 of the crystal units. Now we're going to do one of the 6mm round units. And we will repeat this until we have 8 sections of the crystals and 8 big beads, the 6mm round. And I will count to make sure that's right. But let's go ahead and do one more of these, start the next crystal section, and then I will let you know exactly how many units you need to do. So we're going to pick up, we're coming out towards the bottom, so we know we need to pick up the large bead first. Then we will pick up an 8/0 and 5 11/0s to go over the top of this bigger bead. So we have to pick up 5 11/0s. So this is what we have, an 8/0 and 5 11/0s. Our 6mm round is already on there. And we're going to go through the top of this 8/0 here. So you can see that it's kind of pulled funny, make sure you go through the opposite side that your thread is coming out of. So my thread's here, I'm going to go through here. That will always let you know where to go through. Then we'll sew back through this unit. Just take as many 11-0s as you can and then go back in and back down through that 8-0 there. Pull this down, make sure it straightens up nice, and we will go through the 6mm and back to the bead where we can access our next unit. So here we will start 3 more units of the crystals. Back up the video if you need to get a rhythm down, but it's exactly the same thing, repetition now. And we're going to do 9 sections of the 3 units with the crystal, and then we'll have 8 sections of the units with the 6mm round bead. So we will do our sections until we end up on 3 of the very end, at the very end. So you'll have 8 of your large beads and then another section of the 3. And when I get there, I will show you exactly what we're going to have. Okay, so once you have finished the front part of the necklace, this is what you should have. You should have 8 of your larger bead units, and you should have 9 of your 3 crystal units. So you'll start with a 3 crystal unit and end with a 3 crystal unit, just like this. Now there's a couple of ways we can proceed from here. We can go ahead and start this part of the necklace and then tie back on and do the front dangles, or we can go ahead and do the front dangles and then tie on and do this side of the necklace, and I will show you how to do that. And I think I want to go ahead and do my dangles, tie off here, and then tie back on to do this side of the necklace. Sewing back through is quite a bit of an effort, especially if you did this part and then you tried to sew back down through. It's a little bit much of an effort. We can go this way and then sew back through the top embellishment and then start our this side of this part on this side. However, I think that may be too much effort. I may see how that works out, but let's go ahead and do the front embellishment, and then we'll figure out from there how we're going to do this side. And of course, I will show you exactly how I do it, so don't worry about that. But at this point, I finished my last unit here, and I am coming out of these 2 11-0s. I'm going to go ahead and go into the 8-0. So I've sewn around and secured this unit, and then I just stopped at the 11-0s. So you sew all the way around, secure it, come out of this 8-0 here, and then we're going to go ahead and sew into this crystal right here. We're going to sew all the way over until we come down through this crystal to start our embellishment. So we're going to go through this one, and then we're going to go up through the 8-0 in between the units here, and get you in a little closer. And then we'll go through these 2. So we're coming out of this 8-0, we'll go through these 2 11-0s on top in the next unit, right here. Pull through. And then we'll go through this 8-0 here, this crystal here, and this crystal is where we will start our embellishment. So we're going to make a little dangle underneath this large bead here. So we're going to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads and a black 8-0 like this, and I'm just going to drop this down to the crystal I'm coming out of. And then I'm going to pick up one of my dangle beads, one of my teardrop beads. I'm going to go through that bead, drop it down, pick up an 11-0 and drop it down. And this is what you should have so far. Now I'm just going to go around this 11-0 and back into the crystal and the 8-0, just like this. I'm going to hold on to this, and I'm going to pull my thread through, and you can grab the 11-0 on the bottom, just hold on to it, and pull and adjust until you don't have any slack in your thread, just like that. Then pick up 3 11-0 seed beads, come here, and then go into this crystal right here. So we're just going to go right into this one on the inside of it here, like this, and pull. Align everything, make sure it looks nice, and that's your first dangle. Now we just need to sew through and get to this crystal. So we're coming out of this crystal, we'll go up into the 8-0 here, pull, make sure that you don't have any slack in your embellishment, go into the 11-0s here, go down into this 8-0 here, and then into the crystal. And again, we will make our dangle. So we will pick up 3 11-0 seed beads, 1 8-0 seed bead, and our dangle. Go through the top, the fat bottom part you're going to have towards the bottom of your needle here. Just like this. Bring it up. Pick up an 11-0 seed bead, drop it down, go around that 11-0 into the crystal and the 8-0, just like this. Pick it up and pull. And you can just keep adjusting it until you can get it up nice and tight without any slack or weirdness going on. And then pick up 3 more 11-0 seed beads. We'll go through this crystal right here. And pull it down. Now we need to sew again through until we get to this crystal here. So up through the 8-0 into the 2 11-0s, down into this 8-0, and then through the crystal. Put on your next dangle, and we'll continue until we get all the way over to this very last one. We'll put on our last dangle coming through this crystal here, and we'll come back. If you need to, just back up the video and watch a couple of times until you get a rhythm with it. Okay, so now you can see I have finished doing my entire embellishment all the way to the end here, and I'm coming out of this crystal. I'm almost running out of thread, so I'm going to tie off, and then I'll show you how to tie on this side, and we'll sew through some of the existing units and start our part that goes up around the neck. So let me get you in close here. I'm coming out of this crystal right here. I'm just going to go under the thread bridge. Make sure your embellishment looks good. And then I'm going to go up through this. So I'm coming out of this crystal. I'm going to go up through this 8-0. And I'm going to go right here between the 8-0 and the 11-0s. There's a little piece of thread in between those beads there. I'm going to go under it. And I'm going to pull my thread into a loop, go through that loop, and then I'm going to pull a knot down on that piece of thread. Then I'm going to go into these two 11-0s here, down into this 8-0, and then again between the 8-0 and the crystal right here, I'm going to go between them and underneath that piece of thread that's between them, and I'm going to grab a loop, go through the loop, and tie a knot. And then again through the crystal, through an 8-0 here. I can tie a knot between these 11-0s and the 8-0 here. So I'll go underneath that little piece of thread, make a loop, make sure you draw down between the beads and on the thread bridge, and then go into these two 11-0s, go into this 8-0, and we'll go into this crystal here, up through this 8-0 here, and we'll call it good. You can tie as many knots as you want. You can sew through as many beads as you want. It's up to you. I'm just going to cut this off real close to that 8-0. And I hope I was in camera there. Basically just tie it off and cut the thread off. And this is what it looks like so far. Now we need to build this portion. So I'm going to thread my needle, come back. I'm going to put probably not quite a wingspan on, and come back, and we will start this portion on this side. Okay, so I have rethreaded my needle, and I'm going to come over to this side of the necklace, and I think right here I'm going to go up through this crystal. So I'm going from the side of the dangle into just this crystal right here, and I'm going to pull my thread through, leaving a little bit to hang out so that I don't pull it through while I'm trying to do this. Now, just like we did before, I'm going to go between these two beads, and I'm going to go underneath the little thread between them, and I'm going to keep pulling until I get a small loop, like this. Then I'm going to put my needle through that loop. And then again, I'm going to gently pull until I have a knot down on this little piece of thread here. And sometimes you have to hold on to your tail or pull on it, because as you're pulling it through, you may pull your entire piece of thread through. Now this is not a stable knot, and it is not secure. This is just going to hold us here for a minute. I'm going to just cut this down a little so it's out of my way. I still have a little tag of thread hanging out here. You can see it, for slippage, just in case. Now I'm going to secure this by sewing around this entire unit and then working my way back this way. So I'm going to go up through this 8-0, and right between these beads I'm going to go up through the 8-0. And I don't think I'll go around this unit. I think I'll go around this one, because we have quite a bit of length to sew through, so we should be fine by the time we get there. The reason I'm doing this is to make sure that your knot is secure, the thread is entwined into your piece a lot, so that it will not fall apart. So now I'm going to go into these two 11-0s here. I'm coming out of that 8-0, and then I'm going to go down into this 8-0 right here. And make sure my thread is okay. That's my little tail there. Get it out of the way. Then I'm going to go into this large bead here, the 6mm round. Go into it. And this 8-0 if I can. I may not be able to. Just going to go through the 6mm. It's at a funny angle, so I actually went through both of them. So all I'm doing is just going to follow my original thread path. I'm not worried about the thread path for the embellishment, just my original. So I've come through this 8-0 into this one, And then I can go through my 2 11-ohs on top here and follow my thread path to the end, entwining my thread in and making sure that it is nice and secure. So now I'll go through these 2 11-ohs. This is how you would tie onto a project if you don't want to extend your fireline. This is the way that you can tie on to a project to make your thread longer also. Just find a spot and twine it through your beads, and then you can just carry on making your piece. So I'm following my thread path. I went through that crystal. I'm now going through this 8-0. And then I'm going to go through these 2 11-ohs here. And now I am into this 8-0 here. And now I am going to begin my this portion here. So if you look at it, you can see we started with 2 black 11-ohs and then a silver. So we're going to pick up, excuse me, throat is getting weird. I'm going to pick up 2 11-ohs in the black onto my needle. I'm coming out of this 8-0. I'm going to go into the opposite side from which I'm coming out and pull these 2 11-oh seed beads down. Just like this. Then I'm going to go up through this 11-oh here. I'll hold on to my beads so they don't go crazy. And then I will pick up my 8-0 in silver. And I'll go from this bead down into this one right next to it, just like this. I will pull my thread through, holding on to it, pop that 8-0 down. Now I will go into the 8-0 on the previous unit, the one we're connecting to. Pull my thread through, go up this 11-0 here, into the 8-0 here, pick up 2 11-ohs, and again go into the opposite side of the 8-0 you're coming out of, pull it down, go into the 11-0 here, pull it down, pick up an 8-0, cross over into the 11-0 next to the one I'm coming out of, pop that 8-0 in there, go into the previous 8-0 right there, go into the 11-0 to work your way back up. Sorry, I have to turn here. And then into the 8-0. And continue doing this stitch just like you did on the other side until you have 25 of the silver 8-ohs. And we will be back to put on the end and our clasping. Okay, so I have made my 25 units. Basically, not necessarily 25 units, but I just count the 8-ohs like I did on the other side. And I have 25 8-ohs. Not counting the black one, just the silver ones. And then I'm coming out of my last 8-0 here on my 25th 8-0, and I'm going to pick up 2 11-0 in black here. And just like we were making our units before, go through the 8-0 on the opposite side, pull these down, and then sew up through one of the 11-ohs. Now, instead of picking up 1 8-0, you're going to pick up 4. So pick up 4 8-ohs like this, come down through the bead next to the one you're coming out of, go down through the top of it, pull these down, and they should fold over on top of each other like this. Now go into this 8-0 here. We're going to sew through this twice, and then we'll put our clasping on and sew through it a couple times again. So we're coming out of this 8-0. We're going to go up into this 11-0, and then we'll go into both the 8-ohs if I can get them both. No, I can only get one. So I've gone into this 11-0 and this 8-0. I'll go up into this 8-0. And then I'm going to go down through all 3 beads on this side. So I've gone through the 8-0s and the 11-0. Now we're going to go back through this 8-0. Now that's been secured, we're going to go back up through all 3 beads on this side. Here. Now you're going to pick up an 11-0 in black, an 8-0 in silver, and drop it down. Get the other side of your clasp like this. Go through the loop. Bring it down to your piece. And then just go back through the 8-0. And just the 8-0 like this. And I'm going to pick it up so I can hold on to it and draw my thread through, and I can guide it with my fingers down to the piece. Pick up an 11-0 and go into all 3 beads on this side. Pull it down, pull everything together, go through the 8-0 here, the connecting 8-0. Excuse me, I dropped that. Let me turn down my iPad. I'm sorry, guys. It's been a very active day with my iPad. I don't think I actually got it turned down, but anyway. So we're going through this 8-0, and then we're going to go through all of the beads on this side again, and up through the clasping. So I've gone through all of them. If you can't get them all at once, that's okay. Go through them as many at a time as you can, even if you have to do one at a time. Go around the clasp, go back into the 8-0, go down into your piece, or go down into all these beads, excuse me, and then into this 8-0. Now I'm seeing that it's pulling apart a little bit here as I'm sewing through. So I'm going to sew through this unit again too, just to make sure that it's secure. Hang on, let's see if that clears up a little bit so you can see it. So you can see that it's kind of loose here. I didn't secure it well enough. So I'm going to, coming out of this 8-0, I'm going to secure this unit again, then I can sew up and secure my clasping one more time. So I'm just going to go through this 11-0. You can go through any of the units you want to as long as you stay with your thread path. You can always sew back up to where you were. So this way I can make sure that this unit is not weak. I may not have sewn through it to secure it enough before I started this part. So I've gone back, secured that. And go ahead and sew through your clasping one more time like I showed you, and we'll come back and tie off our thread. Okay, so I have secured my clasping, and I'm coming out of the 8-0 that's connected to my clasping after sewing through it the last time. Now I'm coming out of this 8-0, I'm going to go into this 11-0 here. So just down into the unit beneath the one that's connected to, and then into this 8-0. And then here I'm going to go underneath the thread bridge between the 8-0 and the 11-0 with my needle, guide my thread right between those 2 beads, make a loop, go through the loop, and then as I pull my knot down, I will just make sure it goes between my beads, just like that. Then I'll go through the 8-0, give a little tug to tighten my knot, go into this 11-0 here, and you can do this as many times as you want. I'll go into the 11-0, the 8-0, and then as I'm coming out of this 8-0, straighten everything up, I will go underneath this thread bridge, guide my thread between the beads, making a loop, just draw it slowly, go through the loop, and pull a knot down. And I'll do that 3 or 4 times. You can do it as many times as you would like. And I'll just do that until I feel like it's secure, and then I will cut off my thread. So continue just sewing and tying knots. And when you feel like you're ready to be done, then just sew a couple units over, tie off your, cut off your thread, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have cut off my thread. You can see I left a little tag here. I'm going to take a lighter, or you can use a thread burner if you would like. And I'm just going to, I've just left a little bit of thread here. I'm just going to get my flame close, not right on it, but close to it, and melt that little piece of thread down until it kind of curls into that seed bead there. And you can do that with the other tags we left behind also. And I will lay this necklace out, clean up my bead mat, and we'll look at it. And here, my friends, is the finished product. Now, this is an 18-inch necklace. So if you want your necklace to be longer, 18 is medium size, 16 inches small, 20 inches large. So if you need to modify yours, you need to put either less or more of these little modified herringbone units to adjust your length. If you follow exactly the numbers I gave you, you will get an 18-inch necklace. So that's what that looks like, and this is my original one, and it turned out really nice too. So both of them turned out very well, so I know that it's a pretty foolproof design. Both of them turned out just fine. And I put this one on, and it looks really good on the neck. You could even perhaps do a double, make one longer than the other, and do two, because it kind of looks cool with two of them there. But this is just a nice dainty little pop of shimmer. It would be a nice, you could dress it up or down. It would be really cute to wear daily or at night. So this would work really well with a little black dress or a pair of jeans. Anyway, that's what that looks like. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I'll probably make a pair of earrings for this too. And you'll be seeing that tutorial shortly also. So stay tuned. We have more treasure box videos to come. This is number 1 in the new shiny new year treasure box, and we'll continue from here. Bye-bye.